Hello everyone and welcome to this 11th replay commentary of Wargame European Escalation. Today I'll be showing you a 3v3 game on the map Blitz of the last DLC. So it's a game between 6 members of the LVA clan. It's on the map Blitz, very special map with one big river in the middle and 6 bridges to go across. So, players on NATO side, we've got Delta, PatBoy and Arckaon, and on the PACT we've got Bournibox, Le Carabinier and Krisscut, all LVA members. So it's gonna be quite, well, they all have more or less the same level in game, so no disadvantage here for one team or another. So for the deployment, usual stuff on the PACT side with heavy tanks, anti-tank vehicles, transports, anti-air units with the Tunguska, heavy tanks, commanders to control, I guess, the different sectors over here, and transport helicopters probably to harass the enemy quite quickly in the game. We've got a glimpse of the NATO strategy here, who will try to defend around these buildings. Very good choice of defense. Buildings are very good to hide infantry. And a glimpse of the PACT strategy, who will try to attack quickly the forest in Charlie and the hotel sector while defending near the building, like the NATO side, and attacking on Alpha. And a bit similarly, the NATO side will try to attack near Alpha, as we saw on this little flare here. So it's a time game with 40 minutes of time limit, and here we go. Very big offensive on the right side by the NATO players. They totally left Foxtrot and didn't even leave one commander to control it. Offensive on the hotel sector by the PACT units with 4 Visit Carry squadrons unloaded by Mi-8 TV helicopters and other infantry units coming in Scott 1s. Very fast transports here, 95 kilometers per hour, while on the other side a huge force of Jaegers in foot, very fast transport also, and Legion FAMAS in VAB charging into Alpha. A very big infantry attack here, supported by a bit of artillery. Well, mortars actually, but to fire a bit too short and fire a bit on the well, on their own infantry units. Yeah, like here. But this big offensive allowed the NATO players to control Alpha very quickly, and now the infantry controls Alpha and tank units come in to support them right afterwards. 2 Leopards, 2 A4, 2 Zippos to control the forest, and anti-air units. Well, 4 Leopards. Leopards 2 A4. On Hotel, well, the PACT offensive is still going on, but is less important than the NATO offensive on Alpha. The PACT units are harassing the NATO units, but they still seem capable of holding Hotel. In Charlie, well, 2 commanders are controlling Charlie, so Charlie is still a neutral sector, and NATO has managed to cross the river and take control of this forest, while PACT, trying to do the same thing, is for now, well, probably pushed back by the Jaeger infantry. NATO on Hotel seems to be pulling back. The Leopards are, well, trying to harass the enemy units. The VPZU here are trying to attack. Very bold move here, but well, totally suicidal against Leopards. There aren't many PACT troops left. It looks like the NATO troops, if they combine their strengths, will be able to attack. One recon here is taken, is destroyed by the Visit Carry. And here we go, all NATO forces are destroyed. No NATO forces are left on the hotel sector. They pulled back in this forest. They still have a lot of tanks, Leopards 2A4, some anti-air and some infantry. On Charlie, the enemy commander has pulled back. He was bombarded by artillery and he even got destroyed, my god. Enemy commander, well, sorry, not enemy, PACT commander destroyed in Charlie by the American artillery. heavy tanks on Charlie here, 2 T-80 BV, 2 T-80U, ATU, the biggest tank, the heaviest tank on the PACT side. Very, very good tank. One of the best in game, sorry. So we've got a little NATO control over here, and well, on his side, the NATO army hasn't got much to defend. Only a few infantry units in the city, a couple of anti-airs and some mortars, but no real defense. If the PACT decides to attack with, let's say, his tanks and anti-tank vehicles, he can wipe out the NATO forces quite quickly. But coming back to Hotel, the NATO is trying to organize a new offensive with infantry and anti-air on the left and still his tanks on the right side. If they combine their attacks, they will be able to take back Hotel eventually. On Alpha, is still controlled by NATO. They didn't send any commander yet, but with the amount of infantry and the heavy tanks they have on Alpha, PACT won't take back this sector soon. Offensive starting on Hotel. A bit disorganized here, some infantry here, but the tanks aren't moving on this side. Looks like Delta, Arckaon are more or less combined, but PatBoy doesn't seem to want to move in. Well, he may be right, there may be some units here to defend, but they are not, and the units must have detected that by now. But yeah, there are some infantry units and some concourse. The Black Panzer here is dealing with 3 now, ME8. He is trying to survive the attacks. He kills 2 helicopters. Is near death, but manages to push back these helicopters who flee in front of the danger, especially with 2 Marder Roland 2 coming in right behind him. Looks like the NATO forces are starting to control this forest and will probably be able to hold it against this VPZU. Infantry forces regrouping in Alpha and starting to attack and to harass the PACT roads in order to cut the supplies. Infantry going in, probably going to try to harass Delta, while the other one is trying to take the PACT forces from behind. Looks like a defensive strategy going on in this forest. On Hotel, the NATO offensive is very, very efficient here. They have destroyed every anti-infantry unit. We have only a few concourse infantry units left and concourse jeeps who are quite efficient against these tanks, but won't be able to stop any infantry push. And infantry is coming in the TPZ Fuchs, maybe Jaegers in this one, and maybe Chasseurs FAMAS or Légion FAMAS in these VABs. Once they come in, there's literally nothing stopping them in Hotel. On this side, the VABs are going for the defensive in the forest, while 2 TPZ Fuchs are going for maybe the forest, maybe further on if they have the guts to do so. No real offensive on Bravo. And here we go, the infantry is coming in on Hotel. Well, not quite actually now. One Black Panzer Gepard that was a bit, I don't know what he was, but he made quite a risky move here and got totally destroyed. The NATO still controls this forest. He's taking control of this one behind the PACT lines. Légion FAMAS have secured this forest and will be able to capture any Ural or kill any unit going through or past this forest. The infantry offensive here is organizing with Légion FAMAS on the left and probably Jaegers on the right. If they manage to combine their attack, they will be able to destroy any defense here. Some infantry units have come back on the PACT side. Motoskalki, will they be able to counter these units? Apparently paratroopers and Jaegers are quite enough to stop them, and Zippos are coming in. The Légion FAMAS are, will be able, just kill the VPZU, and now there is absolutely nothing stopping an infantry control in this sector. The concourse will have to pull back if they want to survive, and this threat going away, the tanks will be able to move forward and take control of Hotel with the infantry and the VIB-PC just waiting there since the beginning of the game. So, in the middle, still this contest. Well, Charlie is still neutral sector. One CPC here and one BRDM to you, both near the cities and both, well, controlling the sector. So, points-wise, we've got 2400 for NATO, 2100 for PACT, around 250 points separating the two teams. Not much, and still 27 minutes to go in this game. A little harassment strategy here with infantry units just below the cliff. They will try to harass the enemy army. They probably won't do much damage with only 2 units, but they will try to do something. Hotel is now controlled by the NATO forces. The VAB-PC has moved forward, and they have organized a little defense here with tanks in the tree lines, infantry and flamethrowers in the forest, and other units coming in. Quite a nice defensive line here, and the Tour concourse that weren't able to flee just destroyed one Leopard. Very nice destruction here by the infantry units. But unfortunately, the rest of the army will probably get killed by the FAMAS and the Zippos. Here we go, destroyed. Mortars coming in, well, moved forward and starting to harass once again the area where they think the commander is. They are trying to kill the infantry and probably the commander. New offensive here with once again VPZU units that will this time destroy the NATO forces, and this time PACT have managed to take back the control of their side of the river in Charlie sector. Hotel still in the hands of NATO, and they managed to push back the counter-offensive of the PACT units. And this time it looks like the PACT unit army won't be able to come back and contest Hotel. Too much units are present and control this. Between the flamethrowers, infantry, heavy tanks, recons, and supply and anti-air, they won't be able to take it back. Unless they start harassing with artillery, of course. One CPC coming in to control Alpha and give a big advantage in terms of points for the NATO team. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points will be available for the NATO team. Only 4 for the PACT. 400 points, well, 330 points advantage for the NATO team. Everything seems to go well for NATO for now. Only small disadvantage I see is the balance of forces in Charlie. A lot of heavy tanks for the PACT and good infantry units, and only a few infantry units and anti-air on the NATO side, which is quite meager. On Hotel, very good defense with infantry and heavy tanks. Same on Alpha. And on Charlie, here we go. The PACT is going to try to harass the enemy army. The infantry has stopped below the cliff. The NATO infantry has seen it, and instead of waiting them in the city, they probably will try to move to the edge of the cliff and kill them just as they are below. But what they don't know is that the infantry has disembarked and is moving forward. The Jaegers haven't got their cover and will get totally destroyed by the superior special forces and the shells of the T-ATUs. The Jaegers are killed, the foot try to come in, but are also killed. The only ground defenses on this side of Charlie are destroyed. Without these defenses, the commander is pulling back, but Arckaon is, well, taking some risks here. He is trying to still control Charlie by leaving his commander behind. But unfortunately for him, the mortars didn't destroy all the PZU, and Le Carabiniers special forces will detect the commander. They detect him. They will, well, yeah, they move forward and shoot him with one rocket. So now PACT only still 200 points behind NATO, but now they control Charlie, which gives them 6 points against still 9 points for NATO. So a bit of a comeback here for the PACT, but still behind in terms of points and in terms of revenue. Little offensive here. A few infantry, ATGM units, anti-air and Leopards. And offensive on the right also. Leopards moving forward, but they have been detected apparently by the PACT forces, and the T-80s are coming in for the kill. Two of them are engaging the Leopards while two others are just getting next to them. Two hits, two Leopards destroyed. Unfortunately for the two T-80s, well, the ATGM Milans are here and will maybe do a lot of damage, and the two T-80s are destroyed. Two Leopards for two T-80s and a few of Milan F2. It's still a good point advantage for the PACT here, which allows them to come back at a bit more than 100 points behind NATO team. NATO pushing on the right side with once again Leopards and infantry units coming in to control the forest. Coming in a bit too close to the edge of the forest, they are being shot at by the Zalo. Well, just apparently. Recon coming in, supported by Leopards. And on the left, no movement for now. Little Gazelle here managed to go around the PACT forces. Not sure it can see much. Yeah, can't see anything. But it may be useful further on. Still, this little legion here in the forest to contest, well, to disrupt the enemy lines. And the NATO forces have pushed into Bravo, abandoned by the PACT forces. Bravo is now in control of, well, is now contested by NATO forces. Little fight here between Leopards and PACT tanks. Yeah, 4 T-80As, 2 T-80Us and 1 T-72. Of course, the Leopards got totally destroyed by this overwhelming force. Little offensive here with Jaegers once again, but the Motoselchi seem to be able to stop this offensive, and yeah, supported by tanks, the Jaegers are totally destroyed. PACT is still controlling pretty much this side of the map with the middle. They have units on this side of the river, and well, even if NATO has units in this forest, only the PACT controls Charlie. On the right side, little offensive here with infantry units. Unfortunately, a lot of units in the forest destroys the NATO units, and the PACT, well, takes the lead now with 3,800 points against 3,500 points, 300 point difference. The PACT has taken the advantage in this game. NATO still holding their position on Hotel, still holding the forest in Charlie, and well, it seems that they are preparing another offensive on Alpha, regrouping recon, infantry, tanks, anti-air, and probably other tanks further on. Infantry, NATO infantry totally destroyed in this forest, which gives once again the advantage, well, the total control of this side of the river to PACT. But Arckaon has brought in one commander and will probably be able to control, well, we'll bring in one commander and will probably be able to control Charlie, and well, we'll see what will happen. The PPZU are now taken, being shot at by the mortars, but infantry in buildings is very, very strong, so we'll see if they'll be able to do anything about that. Two commanders moving in, I don't really know why. One is probably going for Foxtrot and the other for Charlie, we'll see that later on. And yeah, Echo is abandoned, two challengers, Flag Panzer and Commander are moving in, one commander going for Alpha, probably will try to control Bravo to call in reinforcements closer to the front line. Yeah, so one commander is going for Foxtrot, the other is going for Charlie. A bit risky here to come in through the front, yeah, that's what I thought. he saw his commander was taking this road a bit too risky, so he'll just go through the, well, further back. And one commander, well, this one maybe is going for Echo. Yeah, we'll see. So little of an observation here. PACT NATO forces are regrouping. Leopards, Challengers are here on the front line to well, prepare their offensive. There are a lot of heavy tanks in front of them. T-80U, 72B, T-80A, T-80BV. If all these tanks just regroup in a line here, they'll be able to make a lot of damage against these units. One Buratino also coming in. The commander here is coming in to contest Charlie, and the other one here has taken control of Echo. So the NATO unit, well, the NATO players have totally abandoned their left flank. They have no reinforcement route in India or in Foxtrot. Their only reinforcements are from the right. If the PACT pushes in Hotel, no reinforcements will be able to come in here. Hopefully, well, the defense is quite good with a lot of infantry and anti-GM units. One Buratino shot here in the forest. No real damage here. The NATO players have managed to pull back their units right in time. Here we go. Bravo is controlled by the NATO players, and they are calling in new units to take back, well, to continue pushing here. A lot of infantry is called in. We've got Jaegers here, VABs here, probably Legion FAMAS and Chasseurs FAMAS here pushing in the forest. Two Challengers have been called with two Sheridans. Yeah, here we go, Legion FAMAS. It seems like the NATO infantry is taking the upper hand in this fight, and will probably allow NATO players to take control of this forest. Yeah. PACT players have managed to take back control of this little forest here, but have lost totally all their units over here. On this side, PACT is trying a new offensive, but a very short one. A few infantry units that get totally killed by the infantry and flamethrowers. The Buratino has shot once and killed a lot of infantry units over here, and is getting refueled and rearmed to fire a second time. Here we go. The NATO army has managed to create a long front line with a few tanks, well, a lot of tanks, 2 Leopards 2A4, 2 Challenger 1, 8 GM units with the, no, not yet, here they come in, 80 GM units here, and 2 Challenger 1s here. The PACT forces have regrouped. All the T-80s are over here and will probably try to counter-attack. Here we go, a counter-attack on this side. New shot from the Buratino on the hotel sector, and a big attack here. So yeah, this is a bit of mistake here on the PACT side. Some of the tanks are getting shot at by the Leopards and the Challengers and can shoot back, of course, but these ones can only shoot with their ATGM, not with their guns. They should be pushed forward to be able to shoot at the NATO tanks. Yeah, especially with their very good advantage, the PACT tanks have a good advantage over the NATO tanks is the rate of fire. Leopards have a 7 per minute rate of fire for their main gun, as well as the Challengers, while T-80s have got 10 per minute for their guns. 10, 10, 10. So a very nice rate of fire, but they don't take advantage of this because their tanks don't shoot with their main guns. So they've got a few tanks getting destroyed, and then only then they push forward. But unfortunately, NATO has taken control of the entire front line, and they've got heavy tanks facing the T-80s and heavy and light tanks coming in from the flank, and of course ATGM units also shooting. And these ATGMs totally kill the T-80s. hurt to death and just killed. The remaining HPs are taken away by the Leopards and the Challengers. Very, very good offensive from the NATO players, pushing forward with these tanks, taking from the flank with these tanks and these infantry units. The PACT players have totally been destroyed here. And a little comeback here, 49-43 against 49-55, a near perfect balance in terms of points in this game. And 3 minutes to go. And the NATO is still controlling this flank. No new harassment on this side. The Buratino will probably shoot once more, but the NATO units, NATO players have nothing left to attack. They will try to defend as much as possible during the last 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Little offensive here with the Legion Famas, destroyed by the flamethrowers, and little advantage in terms of points for the PACT players. 5,005 against 49-55. And the Buratino is shooting once again. What is he shooting at? He is shooting at, the forest. He will try to take out the units in the forest. 2 HP is killed on the VAB-PC. 1 guy left in the paratrooper squad. And oh my god, the last rocket took down the VAB. 300 points advantage for the PACT now with this very, very nice kill from the Buratino. And the offensive is continuing on this side. Jaegers are coming in with the Fuchs. Flamethrowers are still in the forest, but they are shaken. Well, one of them is shaken, and it looks like the only chance of these Jaegers surviving is taking out these flamethrowers quickly. One of them is panicked, but they still manage to fire on these Jaegers, and the Jaegers are getting totally burned. Jaegers destroyed. 100 point advantage, no, not even 60 points advantage for the PACT players, and 1 minute to go in this game. Hotel is no longer controlled. Of course, the VAB-PC has been killed by the Buratino, so we've got only 3 sectors against 2. It's a very, very tight match. NATO players are starting one final offensive during this last 45 seconds of game, while the PACT is just trying to survive and not give points to its enemy to try to maintain this draw in this match. The TATs are pulling back. Only 2 of them are left against Challenger 1's Leopard 2. Challenger 1's here. One other Buratino shot here. The Zippo, the Famas will get killed, obviously. Here we go. And 10 seconds to go. Well, it looks like it will be a draw. Charlie is still contested by both teams. The NATO players who are starting to push one last time, but the game ends on this very, very nice draw with a little point advantage for the PACT team. So 5,591 points for the PACT players, Bournibox, Krisscut and Le Carabinier, and 5,511 points for the NATO team. Very, very tight match, very nice match with a lot of a very aggressive push in the beginning with a lot of Jaegers and Legion on the right side and infantry Vizatkari on the left. NATO took the advantage quite early on the PACT, but the PACT managed to defend quite well, harass the enemy in Charlie, and give a lot of problem on the left side. So all in all, very, very tight match, very nice match. I hope you guys liked it. I hope had a good time. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.